Okay, so now that we've got all of our seat belts rebuilt, we're going to move on to removing the airbag. There's two things that need to happen here. The airbag's got to come out, and the electrical connections to the back of the airbag will be melted, so we're going to need to replace the clock spring as well to make that better. To do that, the steering wheel has to come off. So let's get started. Okay, so the next step is to replace the airbag. This sheet of foam here is normally underneath here, but the procedure the manual recommends for deactivating the airbag is just to remove the negative terminal. So I like to just turn it to the side and shove it down there like that so it can't come back into contact. And I'm just going to let that sit dead for a while before we try to put a new airbag in. Okay, so you're going to get something long and metal like this probe here. And you're going to stick it in here until you can feel a sort of resistance, a spring-like resistance to it. You go up on the top here and you can see how we've gotten the bag to come out just a little bit like that. Now we're going to go do that exact same thing to the opposite side. Okay, and there you can see it is out. And you can see our connectors back in there, and they are definitely melted to the airbag. So our first connector we're going to disconnect is going to be this little ground wire over here. Just like that. So now all we need to do is get these yellow connectors off of here. And it doesn't really matter if we break them. So I think the last time I did it, I did break both of them pretty badly. So you just keep pulling at them until you get them released. And I may end up just cutting these wires. You could do that too. That wouldn't hurt anything. So yeah, it ended up that I just pulled really hard on those and ripped the wires out of the back. So just to give you a good visualization of what you're doing when you're trying to release that airbag, you are coming in with your metal probe through that little hole in the side of the steering wheel, and you are landing on this, and you are pushing it inwards like that. And when you do that, this right here lets go of the clasp that holds that airbag in. So that's what you should be visualizing when you're trying to do that. It's a little tough to do, but you can't hardly mess it up, so you'll be fine. Okay, so now that we've got our airbag out of here, we just need to remove this bolt in the middle. And once that's out, we'll be able to get our clock spring out of here. And then we'll be able to reprogram the airbag and get everything back to normal after that. Whole steering wheel has to come off though to get to that clock spring, so that's what we're doing next. You can see this steering wheel is made by TRW. They famously made the M14 rifle for the US government, and a lot of parts from the Apollo missions were made by them as well. So you can see here we're just going to use a T47 Torx bit and just kind of hold the steering wheel with your legs, and it breaks loose. Okay, so I thought I had marked this before, but I'm not 100% sure, so we're just gonna mark the shaft and the column, or sorry, and the wheel just like that, so we'll know exactly how to put it back. Last little thing we got to do is we got to pull this connector loose right here, and then it's just a quick steering wheel comes off. Note the position of the yellow marker in the window here. When you put this back on, it needs to be in there. Your new clock spring comes with that yellow spot already in the window, and you cannot move it in a way that would impact you negatively unless you pull this orange tag out of there. So that's what the orange tag is there for. Okay, so next we're going to take these little 7mm screws out of here. And then we're going to go down underneath, right under here. So this next part might go a little easier if you have a trim tool, but basically you need to pop this top cover up and then the other one will fall down. So we're just going to get in here with our trim tool. That piece comes off like that. The bottom comes off like this. And I'm not going to disconnect that, I'm just going to let it hang. Okay, so now we've got 4 screws to remove. Here, 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 and here. Which we'll just do with a regular Phillips head screwdriver. Now that we've got our 4 screws out, we're just going to pull this off after we gently disconnect these plugs in the back here. This one is going to take a little more finesse. Okay, so when I got that out of there, I broke this here and this here, but I did not break anything on the yellow side of this. And that is the important point here, because we can break as much as we want on this clock spring since it's coming out, but the yellow connector is safe. So now we're going to get our new clock spring and put it in. Oh, and I'm sorry. Got one more connector down here that has to come off. So this last connector at the bottom here, we're just going to shove our slot screwdriver in like this, and it'll pull out just like that. Okay, and I had totally forgotten about this, but we need this, whatever this module is here. So in order to do that, we have to press these downward, and then that will slide off. That's how we get that off of there. It's a little too complicated for me to do with only one hand, so I'll just show you the end product when we're done. Okay, so now that we've got those little clips released, it will come right off just like this, and we will put it directly onto the new one. Again, a little too complex for just on one hand, so we'll pick it up with the finished project in just a second. Alright, so you just need to make sure this little black rod down here fits into this notch, and then you're just going to push it on until it clicks, just like that, and there we go, we've got it how we want it. So then we're going to take this connector here and plug it into the bottom like that. And I'm just gently going to put it up here, all the while still leaving this tag in place here. And plug this in here. And we'll push this in until it clicks here. And it looks like it's definitely in place how we want it. And then we'll put our Phillips head screws back in here. Okay, so then we're just going to go about putting our trim panels back in place here. And use we go. Now we're lined back up here. And then we'll stick the top piece in way up here. And I'm going to need more than one hand for that. There we go, and that all just snaps right back together. We still have not removed the safety from our clock spring here, and we can still see the yellow in the window there. We'll also remember to put the 3 trim panel screws here, here, and then one under here back in place. Wouldn't want to forget those. That would be a pain to come back and do later. Okay, so this is my steering wheel. This time during the wreck, it managed to smash this little control switch over here. So luckily I have one left over from the first time it was wrecked, so I just need to get this switch out of here. So basically you just pull and this little aluminum fascia comes off of here. Okay, so once we've got our steering wheel out of here, got the old switch out, got the new switch in, it just goes with the outside edge should go in first. Very good. Then of course we've got to plug the switch back in. Hopefully, hopefully you can see that there. And it goes like that. And then the trim will just press fit back in, same way that it came out. And our steering wheel's ready to go back in. Okay, so now it's time to put the steering wheel back on. So we're going to take our wires from that new clock spring. We'll take our little safety and shove it through there. Yeah, and our blue marker line is right where it ought to be as well. So we're looking good. Next thing we'll do is plug our steering wheel wiring harness in right there. So now we need to put this bolt back in, but we need to put some thread locker on it. Some of the blue thread locker needs to go on there so it doesn't back out. And we'll try not to put too much. I can tell you the first time I did this project, I didn't put any on there, and it lasted, 30,000 miles and countless track days, and nothing bad ever happened to it. But because I'm getting older and possibly more scared, I'm going to put some thread locker on there this time. Okay, so we've got our bolt in there now. We just need to snug it down, which we've already done. And once it's snug, we need to apply 22 pound-feet of torque. And I was able just now to hold that by holding the steering wheel with my knees and torquing it down. So now that we've got our clock spring where it needs to be, you can see it can't escape these little windows in the steering wheel. We can finally pull our safety out. So I don't know about you, I've seen very expensive cars, I've seen $1,000,000 cars, but I've never seen a car whose owner loved it so much that he thought it was worth installing a third airbag. So yeah, this will be the third airbag that this car has had, and let's hope this one has better luck than the first two. Okay, so very easy to see which connector goes to which spot down here. However, I've been calling this a ground wire. That's actually the horn wire. That's what that is. So sorry about that. So we'll plug that little guy in first. So then we'll just swivel these up around here. And same for this one here. We'll make sure we tug our horn connector to get back up in there. And then the rest of it really is pretty easy. You just push it in there, and then the manual says to tug on it really hard to make sure it doesn't come out, because apparently that's a thing that happens sometimes if they get installed incorrectly. Okay, so now we've got the car plugged back into power. I reconnected the negative terminal on the battery, and I always think that like the airbag is going to explode immediately, but I don't think that can even happen. We're going to put the car into accessory mode by holding down on the power button until it turns green. And you can see we're getting an airbag service warning, change oil soon, fuel level low. So there's two big things that we need to do with the computers on this car. If you were to put it in reverse right now, it wouldn't have the guidelines on the reverse camera showing you where the car was going to go, and that's because the car doesn't understand where the steering wheel is right now. So we've got to learn the clock spring so that the car will know where the wheel is pointed, and then we've got to get rid of that airbag error message. So again, we'll be using the NT510 Elite, which is a Foxwell product that seems to work very well. So we'll go to GM and then SmartVin, and it's got our information there, so we'll hit yes. Then we'll go to control modules, and we're going to go down the list and select steering wheel angle sensor module. We'll go down the list again and select configuration / reset functions. We'll go down the list again and select steering wheel angle sensor learn. And then align the front wheel straight and center the steering wheel. We've already done that, so we'll hit F3. Turn the ignition off. And we'll hit F3. Turn the ignition on. And then we'll hit F3 again, and it says procedure complete, so we'll hit OK. And then we're going to go back to our main screen, hit control modules. So then we're going to go down to inflatable restraint sensing and diagnostic module. We're going to go down to configuration / reset functions, and then we're going to click reset high voltage disable request after crash event detected, and it's going to say procedure complete. Okay, and that should be everything. So we'll turn the car off, and we'll hold the ignition down again until it turns green. We've got our change engine oil soon light, We've got our fuel level low light, but we no longer have our airbag light. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It was a lot of fun being able to program the two modules using the Foxwell unit. That unit only costs about $150, and the last time I did this, I had to pay $100 each for the clock spring and the airbag to be reprogrammed. So the thing paid for itself just with that one use. We can now say we've made it from the beginning to the end of this project without having to pay anybody to do anything else. No programming, no welding, nothing. We did it all in-house right here in my garage. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.